So Yardie, which is directed by Idris Elba, who came on the show last week. If you didn't hear the interview, you can, of course, download it. All of last week's show is available to download. Terrific interview, adapted from novel by Victor Headley. So starts in the early 70s, young kid in Kingston, Jamaica, Dennis, D for Dennis, finds himself embroiled in this violent, excuse me, I just hit the microphone, finds himself embroiled in this violent turf war that's going on around him, which claims his peace-loving brother, who is attempting to bring everybody together through music, through sound systems, through, he doesn't want any more sort of gang violence, wants everyone to unite and fight. Ends in tragedy. We then move forward. He's grown up. He's become something of a mover. He has a relationship which is now a long-distance relationship, a kid from whom he's estranged. He's working for King Fox. He's a reggae producer, but also a kind of local crime lord. And he is sent to London with a package that he is told to deliver to this kingpin, Rico, as played by Stephen Graham. He is told, this is what I want you to do, to go and take this package to London and do this thing for me. Here's a clip.
London.
Yes, I'm in London.
London. Look how much things I'm under for the community, for the people, for the peace, for your brother Jerry, for you, when nobody wanted Dennis. And this is how you choose to pay me back.
Sure thing, boss.
And Dennis, this is what I want you to take with you. I have a virgin in London, his name is Rico. He's expecting you. Handle that business for me. When it is done, you let me know. And when everything cool back here, you come home. Dennis, can trust you.
Yeah, man, you can trust me. Love.
So then he goes to London and takes his mission. But when he gets there, of course, what happens is that actually he spies other openings, both in terms of business, but also in terms of revenge, of finding out what happened with his brother and how what happened to his brother happened and what he can now do about it. And it's got at its heart, I think, a very strong performance by Al-Amin, who, when Idris Elba was on the programme talking about him before, he said that he had first noticed him in kidulthood. And what's interesting about the film is this: the thing that it gets right, to my eyes anyway, is the sense of period detail. I mean, the devil is definitely in the detail, and that's where the film is richest. It evokes its settings really well. There are times that you watch a film and it's taking you to a different place or a different time, and you feel completely immersed in that place and time. And the reason you do is down to the way characters speak. It's down to what you're seeing on screen. It's also down to music. And obviously Idris Elba is very well versed in the music and the style and the cultures that this story is dealing with, and he evokes them in such a way that you feel that you are really there, that you can breathe in the air of the setting. I thought that worked really, really well. There's also, as I said, we have a very good central performance. We have this kind of completely crazy performance by Stephen Graham as Rico, who is the kind of the kingpin over here, who's slipping between these two accents, one of which is this patois, the other of which is kind of Cockney growling, and the two things that are tied together. So he is a character playing another character. He's playing a wannabe gangster, but he's also this kind of unexploded force at the middle of the film, this kind of random force which is threatening and weird and also foolish and strange at the same time.
It's worth saying, just as an interruption,
that
Stephen Graham is part Jamaican. His paternal grandfather was Jamaican. I was going to bring it out in the interview, and then we ran out of time with Idris. So he knows what he's doing with that accent.
He does. No, he absolutely does. And what's interesting is that he's slipping between that and then this London accent. So it's like what he's doing is there's like two different characters in there, but he's playing a role. And he's kind of increasing it, and it's a really, really sort of hyped up performance. Didn't you find it kind of quite terrifying in places?
Yes, and I'd also like to take every opportunity to praise Stephen Graham as much as possible. After I think he took against.
Yes, I remember. I
made a comment
exactly.
about this is in the Damned United, that he didn't look quite fit enough to play match fit.
Match fit was the phrase that you didn't use.
Yeah, because he was playing Billy Bremner. In that, and then he took it out on you because he thought it was you that said that.
Yeah. And then I explained it was absolutely you, and so I put them in. So anyway,
he's great.
So this kind of this volatile force, this character that literally keeps mercurially changes before you. And then round the outside of that, you have this character trying to cut a swathe, which is on the one hand trying to re-establish contact with his family, trying to settle down, trying to make something which is really where his heart lies. On the other hand, trying to put behind him the ghost of his brother and things that haunt him, but still dealing with the spectre of vengeance, still dealing with the spectre of internecine rivalry, still dealing with violence on the street. And I think that the point at which the movie works the best is actually in how solidly constructed it is. I think Idris Elba makes a very firm fist of directing it. The detail is good, the atmosphere is good. Occasionally, I think there are things in the narrative that I think are weaker than the atmosphere of the story itself. I mean, certainly as we move towards the kind of the more melodramatic contrivances of the narrative, I think that's something which doesn't engage with me so well. But in establishing its milieu, in establishing its characters, in giving you the sense that I thought it was really impressive. I think as a piece of filmmaking, it was actually surprisingly confident. It felt like, somebody who was really, really, it's not just that they knew the material. It's not just that they knew the area and the music. I mean, you talked last week about the music and you were talking to Idris Elba about it. It's lovely. But it's also to do with the fact that they know how to transfer that onto film. So I thought it was a very solid piece of directing. I think the story itself has its ups and downs, but I think the performances keep it grounded in reality, even when the story wanders off into areas which I do think become slightly less than credible.